99.3 Nigeria Info.
It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. Fantastic morning to you if you're just joining us. Yesterday was World AIDS Day, and the conversation is still going on across the world on HIV/AIDS, the scourge, elimination, of course, talks also around discrimination and how to end it. And this will be our show for the next 1 hour. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You can watch us there and leave us your comments and thoughts. You can also use WhatsApp, and that number is 08095975805. 08095975805. We have a full house today, and if you have questions or you have HIV/AIDS, now people are coming out to talk about HIV. It's no longer something. I mean, I saw a video on Instagram yesterday. Someone who came out to say, "I have HIV/AIDS. I'm treating it. I'm fine." And I mean,
I'm good. I'm doing very well.
She's okay.
I'm healthy.
So I mean, right now it's almost just like malaria. I mean, you're taking treatment for it, or say. It's just one of those.
We're just going to get into that part of the HIV/AIDS conversation that perhaps you have no knowledge about. It's been demystified. It's one of those diseases that have been demystified thanks to science, thanks to so many funding that actually went into, HIV chop money. Thanks to all of those donor agencies, thanks to all those governments that put a lot of money into it. We'll get into it much later on. So you're welcome. Joining us for the very first time. You're so welcome. We have all our portals for you. Facebook and YouTube, you can watch us live there right now at Nigeria Info FM 99.3. On WhatsApp, the line is very much active. The WhatsApp line is 0809 597 5805. Okay, let me go slowly. 0809 597 5805 is our WhatsApp line. It's very up and active. You want to engage with us on Twitter, feel free. At Nigeria Info FM is what we use. Is our handle on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter.
You're welcome to the show. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. We have Rotimi Sankore joining us this morning again. Rotimi, good morning.
Morning.
Again. And we have Dr. Frederick joining us. Now, this name, right after I left the studio the last time, someone said, Wemimo, come here, call that name again. So I think I've had some practice. Unigboha.
No, not at all. Unigboha.
I'm so sure I'm going to face a panel right after. Unigboha. There you go. He was here with us the other day when we were talking diabetes, and he gave us quite some insight. He's here also to share some thoughts on HIV/AIDS. We also have a guest joining us from Abuja, Mr. Steve Aborishade. He's from AIDS Health Foundation in Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Steve.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you on the show today. Well, let's give you some run-off. Yesterday, every 1st of December is celebrated as World AIDS Day. Since the launch of the world first one in 1988, every December this is celebrated, and for the remembrance of those lost to HIV. It's also a day to increase awareness and understanding of HIV, and to, as a whole, find a way to reduce the scourge. The theme for this year is very critical, and it says communities make the difference. Communities make the difference. What's the role of the community in fighting HIV/AIDS? What can you do? The WHO says communities are a unique force behind the success of the HIV response. Let me quote something from the WHO. 4 in 5 people with HIV get tested, and 2 in 3 get treatment. Communities play a major role in achieving this success. Of the 37.9 million people living with HIV/AIDS as at the end of 2018, 79% received testing, 60% received treatment, and 53% had achieved suppression of the virus.
Indeed. Researchers reveal that when the World AIDS Day was first launched over 3 decades ago, in 1988, a person living with HIV had a very short life expectancy, expectedly. But now, with the help of antiretroviral treatments, people living with HIV can survive and thrive into old age, as a matter of fact. Human immunodeficiency virus remains a major global public health concern. Effort is raising awareness about HIV/AIDS around the globe include grassroots activism, mobilization of global resources, and political commitment. The most glaring gap is seen in prevention. In 2018, 1.7 million people were newly infected with HIV. This number must reduce by threefold to meet the 2020 target of 500,000 people. That's according to WHO. How the magic wand, or whoever owns the magic wands, is what I don't know. But this number, 1.7 million people, must be reduced before 2020.
Well, every time I hear 2020, I say, when is 2020, please? Isn't that next month? That's next month. Well, let's start with the doctor in the house, Dr. Fred. People have been achieving suppression of HIV, yet we keep having more people having HIV. So how do we balance this? Since we're achieving suppression, or you can start at explaining to us what suppression is. How can someone, when you say someone has HIV suppression, what does it mean?
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for having me. The word suppression, we actually use those words for individuals who are on treatment. So when you're treatment and after a while you go through the monitoring tests, because there are tests you have to be on when you're on treatment, and when you do that, some individuals actually who maintain this treatment consecutively, we notice that this test can't pick up the trace of the virus. So we say these individuals have virally suppressed the disease.
Is it equal to being negative? Do they then become HIV negative?
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. There's nothing like that for now. What we have is you're suppressed. The virus is undetectable. That's actually the word we're using right now.
What does that mean, undetectable?
Yeah, means that this individual no longer poses this threat to transmit the virus to someone else.
So the person still has a virus,
Correct.
Maybe in minimal quantity, if we can use that term.
The word science is using right now is undetectable. It's there. The test can't detect it.
So why can't the test detect it when it's still there?
Why can't the test detect?
Why is the test not detecting
That's
it?
to tell you how low the virus now is. Yes, yes.
The count at that stage is very low.
Very, very low.
And like you said, that means the person cannot transmit it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is the best news so far.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to preach, to encourage individuals to believe and stop this discrimination and stigmatization we have with individuals with HIV.
Is that still a thing? Stigmatization?
Yes, it is. And that's why we need to increase the awareness. You can have this and lead a normal, healthful and useful life.
Doctor, one of the biggest issues with HIV, especially in this part of the world, is access to drugs.
Yeah.
Over time, we've heard that funding has reduced. I mean, funding helped HIV, funding helped humanity in combating HIV.
Yeah.
And now that funding has drastically reduced. And that is why the theme for this year, communities, the role the communities at the grassroots must play in the fight against HIV. And that brings us to the issue of access to antiretroviral, drugs. How easily accessible? I mean, I might be wrong. How accessible are these antiretroviral drugs?
Now, to access this drug, you have to be registered. You can't just test for HIV, you're positive, and you roam around the street.
Or buy it over the counter?
No, you can't. You have to be registered because monitoring also is critical in this case. Now, Nigeria has enjoyed a lot of support from global funds, from WHO and PEPFAR. So when you say funding has reduced, that should be in quote, because Nigeria has enjoyed a lot of fun. The issue we're having right now in Nigeria is individuals coming forward to access care, because when you're tested, we're also talking about self-test. So when you test and you see that it's a trace, you might have it or not, you go to confirm it. So we have
what's a self-test? Like I can test at home?
Yeah. That's what the British is preaching right now too.
Is there a kit? Is this possible right now?
Kits, yes, there's a kit for that. Yeah, it's a kit. So we're encouraging individuals, but it's not common in this part of the world. But we have kits that you can test and get results the same day. However, WHO is bringing out a guideline that says you need to have 3 consecutive tests.
Okay.
Yeah, not just I'm positive and you assess treatment immediately. No, you have to be sure that you have this.
That there was no mistake.
Yes, it's very critical.
And any interval for these consecutive tests?
No, not at all. You present yourself to the right facility.
Rotimi, let's look at some of the numbers that we have here. I mean, as at 2018, we mentioned this earlier, 1.7 million people were newly affected with HIV.
Yeah.
Now, that looks like we're pouring the water down the drain. I mean, some people are getting tested and treated. More people are still getting infected. And we need to reduce this number to 500,000 by next month. I mean, let's stop saying 2020.
By next month.
That's next month. How's that possible?
Okay. First, let me say that I've been up to my neck in HIV and AIDS information over the last couple of months. I mean, I've been doing research and advocacy work with several development agencies since 1998-99, before the Millennium Development Goals. But in the last couple of months, I've
you know what, that made me smile. So we had the MDGs, and now we have the SDGs, and then we have the deadline creeping up on us.
Well, the MDGs from 2000 to 2015, and then the SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals, from 2015 to 2030. But over the last couple of months especially, I've been helping to write and edit a book on the history of HIV in Nigeria. And apart from the articles or contributions I've had to write myself, I've been reading some incredible stuff from experts from around the country and from outside the country that have done a great deal of work to help end this epidemic in Nigeria. One of the important things that was achieved late last year and early this year is the rebasing of the HIV data in Nigeria. And for a combination of reasons, too long to go into in detail.
Right.
The good news is that it's been found that the numbers are a bit lower than we thought across board. So that's really good news. But this good news also has some important implications, which is that the federal and state governments need to start making big, quick, urgent investment to make sure that those figures don't then get worse again.
Right.
And it has to be across board.
How do they do this?
Well, there are 4 or 5 ways to do it. The first is that the global approach now is test and treat. And last year, a new policy was introduced called 90-90-90, which is that every country needs to ensure that 90% of the citizens are tested.
95 now.
95 now?
95 now, yes. I mean, I said last year the 90-90-90 was introduced, upgraded to 95-95-95. So 90% at the time, 95 now, of citizens to be tested. The same percentage of those that test positive to be treated, right, and the same percentage of those on treatment to achieve what Frederick was talking about, which is viral suppression. This then breaks the chain of the epidemic. Now, this has been done globally. There is no reason why it can't succeed in Nigeria. But that investment needs to be made, and the education needs to go with it. And that means that there are key demographics that have to be addressed. For instance, HIV remains, sadly, one of the biggest killers of young people, adolescents in particular, and adolescent girls especially. 82% of all young people that have new HIV infections are girls.
Well, according to a report by the Nigeria HIV/AIDS Indicator and Impact Survey, it shows a very startling number here. The number of women with HIV is twice the number of men. Let me speak with Mr. Jerry. You're doing amazing work. The AIDS Health Foundation, and this is spread across the country. Tell us more about what you do about the foundation. Mr. Steve.
Well, my name is Steve.
Yes, Steve, right.
Yeah, so AHF is an AIDS Healthcare Foundation, the global HIV/AIDS healthcare organization. We operate in 43 countries of the world. We operate by bureau. Our bureau is in Uganda, while our head office is in LA. And we have over 1 million clients, on treatment in the organization. In Nigeria, we have about 23,000 that we take care in 7 states. We just moved to our 7th state. So basically, we work in the area of prevention treatment, and we work basically with young women and young girls. And now we have a program that targets young boys. Basically, let me just try to conceptualize what we have now. The picture of HIV that we know before has changed, like some of the commentators have said.
Right.
Before, HIV basically equals death. Now, HIV is no longer death. But the key issue now is how do we ensure that people who are HIV positive have quality lives? Last 2 days, I spent 2 days in Benue State, in Makurdi, with about 15 young people who are all orphaned to HIV/AIDS, who are all HIV positive.
Wow.
So to say, all their lives, they've known HIV. They got HIV from their mother. And we're having conversations and trying to document, their lives. The beautiful thing is some of them have been able to have viral suppression, which means they're very fine, as healthy as any one of us. But some of them are not doing too good because adolescents present a special challenge. And this is where focus should be. Nigeria is making good progress, but a lot needs to be done. Funding is coming from the global financial circle, the Global Fund, PEPFAR, and so on and so forth. But funding is dwindling. Funding is definitely dwindling. And a lot of services that existed before are no longer available. That is why we are asking government to increase their own domestic resource mobilization to aid. Right. Because it's crucial, it's critical. Outside of the federal government commitments, the states hardly contribute anything to HIV.
Do we even have anything going on with the local governments at all?
Nothing. No, if the states don't even contribute.
How much more the local government? And we're talking about communities helping to end this scourge. If the local governments are not... it looks like we just handed everything over to global organizations to handle for us.
Some states like Lagos have started contributing some resources.
Oh, well, we'll talk about Lagos because there's one really necessary, important topic to talk about Lagos, and that came to the fore last week. Mr. Steve, let me stay with you. I'm glad you mentioned the dwindling funding for HIV, and that is scary if we don't nip it in the bud right now, because from the stats from 2018, this is 2019, it's almost going away. From the stats available for 2018, we had about 1.9 million people living with HIV then, and about 130,000 new HIV infections in 2018, and that's just based on the record, those that came on record. And also in 2018 we had 53,000 AIDS-related deaths, again those on record. Should we be worried with these dwindling funding that is hampering the fight against HIV/AIDS?
I think every actor in the HIV sector is worried already. Because if the tide does not change, we will have a relapse of the gains we've made. According to the NICE survey, about 900,000 Nigerians still need to be on treatment. But the big picture, is the fact that less than 30% of Nigerians have ever tested for HIV. That's the reality. So a lot of Nigerians are walking around
that have ever even presented themselves to get tested.
Yes. less
30%.
than 30%. I don't know the exact figure, but I'm sure that less than 30% of Nigerians have ever tested for HIV.
Wow.
And that's the reality. And
so the numbers we're working with is just based on the 30% that have shown up for testing.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't be specific about the actual number that have filled up.
Right.
But these are surveys usually just a percentage of the population. It's not as if they use absolute population number to carry out surveys and researches. But the fact is, Nigerians are not testing, and we need to get Nigerians to test. To get Nigerians to test, we need money, because testing is money. You have to buy test kits, you have to buy reagents, So this is big money, and even if you test today, you are not positive. You still need to retest yourself. So that's one big issue, testing. The other big issue, like as one of the commenters have also identified, is the fact that new infection is high among adolescents. And the age range of adolescents is a period of discovery. Right. For young people, they want to discover, they want to really
experiment, right?
And they know, so they come arms way. So how do we educate these young people? How do we empower them?
You visited different communities, and here's what I think with the analogy you've given. So we have these young people who want to experiment, who want to try things, yet they have not been
that age.
Yeah, they haven't been taught on how to experiment safely. So many of them don't have sex education. They don't know about the use of condom or how to protect themselves. They don't even know. I mean, many of the communities you've been to.
Let me tell you something that has to do with a national policy. Okay, there's what we call the age of consent. That means before a young person can test, he or she needs consent of a parent or of a guardian. So the age of consent right now is 18. Okay, so if you're less than 18, that means I can't test you.
Come back on that. So if anybody less than 18 years old shows up at the hospital,
you cannot test that person without consent.
Dr. Jerry, Dr. Fred.
Dr. Fred.
That's it.
No, not you, Dr. Fred. I don't know where Jerry come from.
You can't do that, please.
You can't test anyone who's less than 18.
Yes, there's an age for consent.
So the parent has to come with them?
The parent or the guardian. Very important.
Isn't that why they're not showing up for testing then?
It is one of the reasons, which brings us to a really important issue. A human rights approach is really key. And for girls and women especially, there are special rights issues involved. There is a big and important reason why 82% of all adolescents that have new infections are girls. And that is because a lot of girls that are below age are or have been forced into or have found themselves in circumstances where the power dynamics and the power relations leave them open, leave them vulnerable to sexual exploitation. It's not just forced child marriage, which is a big problem. So if you are 12, 13, 14, 15, you are forced into a vicious arrangement described as marriage, and you are infected with HIV. You can't go for a test because the medical authorities consider you a minor, but the law,
you're allowed to,
but the law has allowed you to be violated. That's one. Two, poverty and transactional sex is a big issue for young girls. So, for instance, if you're a house girl and you find yourself in a vulnerable position to be violated by your oga's children or people around like that, you are in the same boat. You are too young to go for testing officially, right, but you've been violated.
Things are happening.
The law has not protected you. All these young girls that walk about selling things on their head, maybe the whole basket is not worth more than 5,000 naira.
Right.
And some predators and cynical men, look at them and say, yes, this person, I can get the person with an offer of 10, 15,000 naira, spending time in an AC flat rather than walking around Lagos with the thing on their head. I'll just come every Monday, I'll give you 15,000.
So poverty is falling this way. Let's head out for a break, Rotimi. Let's head out for a break.
All these things really make it terrible for young girls. And then to say you can't go for testing
at that age
and then commence treatment, I mean,
let's head out for
really
a break.
Big human rights issues.
We're still talking about this, and I think we'll be focusing on this group of people because we seem to have put them in a corner. They can't go for testing, yet they're being infected. And there's also a stat here on the full list of states with HIV prevalence rate. Lagos is 1.4. What's 1.4? Why are we 1.4? So the state with the highest prevalence of HIV/AIDS right now is Akwa Ibom. Northwest has the lowest prevalence rate at 0.6%. The South-South geopolitical zone has the highest with 3.1%. The North had lower prevalence of HIV/AIDS because of cultural behaviors. I'll tell you who said that when we come back from the break. We have a full house. We have Mrs. Steve Aborishade from 8 Health Foundation with us, joining us from Abuja. Rotimi Sankore is here. Dr. Frederick is also here. No, I'm not going to attempt that. We're back in a moment. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.
More talk, news and sports after this.
#1 talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Yeah, welcome back as the Morning Crossfire, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.
And we have some questions here. I think I'll just start off with those questions, and they'll definitely be going to Dr. Frederick. Let me start with this one on Facebook. By the way, we're live on Facebook and YouTube if you want to watch it and join the conversation. Mazio B. Okereke on Facebook says, when the doctor says it can't be transmitted, does it mean that if a positive person has sexual intercourse with a negative person, he or she won't become negative? I think it refers to those who have suppressed a viral load. So can they freely have sexual intercourse without passing the virus? Is that what that means?
Yes, please.
Unprotected.
Yes. The recent study has shown that if you attain a level of viral suppression to the point where the virus cannot be detected, you also maintain your lifestyle, prevent those risk factors. What I mean by that is you are faithful, you have a partner, you're married, or you're faithful, have a partner, and those other practices, and you have sex unprotected, the chances of transmission is less than 5%.
So can someone who has achieved a suppressed viral load be reinfected with HIV, like start all over again, if they go have unprotected sex with someone who's got HIV, for instance? So
attaining this level doesn't mean you've achieved anything. Oh, I'm now virally suppressed. You don't go about celebrating, oh, I've achieved.
It's not immunity.
Yes, it doesn't mean you've arrived.
It's not immunity. Doesn't mean you can't ever have it again.
Yes, so you have to maintain that state.
And another question about viral suppression is this. Does that mean that person will still be on antiretroviral?
For life. It's a lifelong treatment.
Okay.
There you go. We have another one from, it says, what are the causes of HIV?
The cause of HIV actually is...
I thought we could skip those.
Yeah, I actually thought that too, really. Look, you notice that we didn't start from there.
There's a community where condoms have just been... They've just seen condoms for the first time.
Dr. Fred, simple question here. Please, what are the causes of HIV? I'm reading it the same way the person said it.
HIV, actually, the word HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. An individual gets infected with the virus. The virus attacks your immune system. Now, how do you get this? The most common form of transmission is actually through contact, body fluid, blood, semen, vaginal secretion, breast milk. Now, there are risk factors. So you could be infected, number one, sexually. Number two, through blood products. Number three...
So you go for blood transfusion.
Yeah, blood transfusion that is not screened.
Or you go donate blood.
No, not really, not donating. Actually receiving.
You can't get infected when you're donating blood?
No, not at all.
With the equipment?
If you don't maintain standard hygiene, because if you want to be tested, if you want to transfuse, want to donate, you have to be tested.
Right.
Now, if whatever that will be used to conduct that test for you is not sterilized, so it's also a means of transmission, risk factors, using unsterilized needles. Also can be transmitted from the mother to her child during pregnancy, what we call the vertical transmission. So an individual can have this virus through any form of this route.
Okay, so there's one more question.
It's an opportunity to say you can't, in quote, catch HIV from handshaking, hugging, eating from the same plate to the same person,
sharing a towel, or so on. Let me read you another question from Solomon from Abulegba. Says, my question is, why is it so secret not to review HIV test results to couples, especially when one is negative and the other is positive? I'm assuming that in this case it means a couple present themselves for testing. One is discovered to be negative. Should the results be declared to both of them?
Okay.
He's asking why is it...
This is a key question. There's what we call confidentiality. Now, during counseling, you have the choice. If you're married, you could be asked, would you wish your result to be communicated to your partner?
This means that they will be counseled separately.
Yes,
please. Not together.
Not together. Yeah. So when an individual is tested positive, usually advise them, you counsel them to inform the partner. It's a choice. When the individual says no, you don't go above his or her decision and informing the partner. You could be sued for that. So you respect that individual's decision.
In fact, in some countries, it's considered as malpractice.
There you have your answer. Let's head back and speak with Mr. Steve. Now, the theme for this year, like we mentioned this year, is communities make the difference. And when we talk about communities, we have groups of people. We're talking during the break about this category of people that we hardly want to mention. Commercial sex workers, that's a community of people. And while in Nigeria, I mean, people don't want to talk about them. They're just those people, those bad people. But these are people.
I don't think we can call them bad.
I said that's what Nigerians
we're just
call them.
Using what Nigerians would say.
So Nigerians would say those are those bad people. So we don't know. But these are the communities of people who are also prone to having HIV/AIDS, and we have other communities like that. So while we need to pay attention to them in terms of healthcare, remember that many of them don't even go to the hospitals because of stigmatization. So how can we address these communities that we really don't fancy as a country?
It's important to mention.
Okay.
Let me start with Mr. Steve.
No, it's important to mention the key populations, not just the commercial sex workers.
Yeah, I'll come to you, Rotimi. Please go ahead, Mr. Steve.
So I think it's important to actually look at these communities. And like the commenter was trying to say, we have sex workers. Now we have both female and male sex workers. People are not familiar with that. We have men who have sex with men. We have other sexual minorities. We have injection drug users, who exchange needles. So I would love to take it one by one. It's crucial. When we, for instance, let me look at the commercial sex workers, either male or female. It takes two to tango, and that's the reality. And the regular husband at home, the regular son at home, the regular uncle at home, the regular cousin at home are the ones who goes out to patronize sex workers.
Absolutely.
So it takes that to tango. So we have to realize the interchange of risk here. So, for instance, if we assume that they are key population, but from my little experience working with female sex workers, they actually have more awareness than the average young women on the street. They have more awareness about their health. They take care of themselves, especially those who have benefited from different kind of programs. They are extremely careful about their health. Right. They ensure they use condom. Right. They take care of themselves when they have any sexual infection. Unlike young women on the street who we don't really seem to look at as key. So there have been conversation about the need to reclassify what we say the kick of populations. Because, for instance, let me give you an instance. We have a population of young women in higher institutions who cannot, say, we cannot call them sex workers, so to say. But we know what happens in our society. A drive through Lagos at night reveals that young women on the street, where are they coming from? I mean, they're not brothel-based sex workers. So we have to begin to target them. Right. There are so many apps now, this day of technology. There are so many apps where young people who opt themselves. That's sex work. It's being paid for. Right. So we have to.
I've seen about two. I mean, someone took me browsing through these apps.
There are many of them.
Yeah.
Can we say the same applies to young men?
And
he started from there by saying there are male and female. No, we're not stigmatizing. Please continue, Mr. Steve.
So of course, there are male sex workers. There are male sex workers that they do sex, either homosexual sex or straight sex. They are male sex workers, and they're a big community. That's what we don't know. They're a very big community.
In your work, have you seen the government target these set of people, say in advocacy or in awareness? I think most of the work has been coming from private individuals or organizations.
In fact, even in the Ministry of Health, we all acknowledge the fact that even NACA, they are programming to those communities. But the challenge it goes beyond programming for the community. The challenge comes to the acceptance, because for instance for men who have sex with men, you can't do that in the open. You can't say that openly.
It's illegal.
They drive them back into the closet, okay, and that's very dangerous. And I know from working with these communities that their husbands that leave their wives and have partners in the MSF community. Okay, so I mean these are cross-cutting issues of risk. Okay, we have to now be bold enough. This is public health. There's no morality in public health. You know, is that good or bad? That is not the question.
Right.
The question is, we have a disease to tackle, and how do we tackle it effectively?
I mean,
you understand what I'm saying?
Well, Steve, I'm glad you mentioned a husband leaving his wife for another man. But my question is, who do we fall for that? If we're mentioning that as a form of spreading HIV?
That is why it's important, you know, to take care of that community. Right. If the community is aware, the community is able to protect itself.
So these are the people that fall in the 70% that don't show up for testing. I mean, we're looking at these communities that we're not maybe paying enough attention to. Rotimi, one of the community we
population that don't test.
Yes,
population that don't test.
So,
and then we have to look at again another thing that we have to be conscious of is the age of sexual debut.
Right.
In the country, it has fallen low.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It has fallen low.
Kids
a organization conducted a research recently among young people, young secondary school pupils, you know, having an effect. And it's really huge. Even in some marriages. And these are risky behaviors.
Right.
So these are even practices that are not really normal, so to say, in quotes, in heterosexual relationship. I did my point in straight relationship.
Right.
You know, but now they are finding their way, you know, into straight relationships.
Okay, before I head to Mr. Rotimi, I need to come to the doctor on this one. Please hold on, Steve. Right on this topic you've taken us to. So we have this group of people experimenting, and they do most of these things in private because it's put us in double inverted commas, immoral, and you don't want the community judging you. In the hospitals, we see these people coming out to either get tested or to get screened or for treatment.
So I came across something online. I think a few days ago, a gay man living in Nigeria said we just need good legal representation for the lesbians, the gay, the bisexual, the transgender in Nigeria. Right now, we don't know who to contact when issues arise. The ARVs are difficult to get. You can't tell your doctor about your sexuality. So getting the right care is difficult. Plus stigmatization of gay and HIV positive. So
because by law it is illegal.
It's illegal
to be homosexual.
In 2014, the law came out that 14 years. So we need to encourage.
So if you go to the hospital and you declare yourself homosexual, you're probably going to land in jail if your doctor, rings you up.
There's a clause there, a confidential clause. Doctors should have this non-biased mind.
Right.
They're coming to you to tell you there's a problem. It's not your job to take them to the law. Your job is to ensure that this individual accesses care.
So why are they not coming to the doctors?
Yes, because of the awareness, stigmatization, awareness. We need to spread this news and fear. How do you feel when you know that this individual is a sex worker?
Let me get something clear, doctor, here. And I'm sure a lot of people want to know this as well. When someone comes forward for testing, is it important? Is it imperative for that person to declare his sexuality?
Very, very important.
To say that I am gay, I am bisexual, I am trans. How is that relevant?
Do you know currently right now, you don't say an individual is either having sex with a male or female. You don't assume. You never assume. You must ask. You might be surprised. You get the shock of your life. So as a doctor seeing a patient, your mind should be totally open.
Because then you'll be able to address the causes of the issue. A comment on WhatsApp here says homosexuality and bestiality are major causes of HIV. It says take it or leave it. That it seems to have a deep opinion. Someone says, can one get HIV from deep kiss? Judge from Edibo, can a kiss be deeper than the other? Can a deep kiss give you HIV? It says again, can HIV be cured spiritually? Just yes or no to those answers.
Very heavy no, please.
Kiss?
No.
Spirituality?
No, please.
Let's give you the phone number so you can try and ask other questions.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Okay, we are listening and we can take more calls and comments now. Mr. Steve, you are going to make a point?
No, I said other sexual infections can come through deep kissing.
Yes, but not HIV/AIDS, but there might be others. Okay, let's take a call soon.
Let's see who's here. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Temple calling from Nigeria.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sir Rotimi, good morning. And the other guest too.
Morning.
Good morning.
Well, I look at the figure of women. Women are much because we the guys, we always resist this test of HIV. But the women, they actually come out to test more than the men. That's why their figure is more high.
No.
And if you look at... Sir?
Maybe not exactly.
No, the figure of women is higher because women are more vulnerable. And also, younger women especially, their human rights are repeatedly violated.
All right. Please go ahead quickly.
Okay. All right. But in other villages, like I come from a village where there is no health care, there is nothing. Some people have HIV and they go ahead treating other diseases because they are not tested and they will not be able to know until you get to a stage where it's uncontrollable. Maybe they have been referred to a bigger hospital in the town where you can go and get this treatment. When you get there, you know that you have HIV. By getting there, the time is too late. So it's for the government to make more healthcare or more testing facilities available in local places and local villages where people can test and know that, yes, I have HIV and I can be treated. Thank you.
Thank you, Temple, for calling. Appreciate that.
But don't we have enough places where people can test, Mr. Steve?
No.
Do we have enough testing centers?
Access is a big issue. For instance, we work in several states. Do you understand what I'm saying? So station officials in some part of the state is a big problem. There's a place in Benin where we work. We have to take canoes to cross river to get there.
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, you know, our topography is big. It's sometimes unmotorable. So there are several places that you don't have easy access. And believe me, in terms of cost, it is not cost effective to work in those places. And you are working based on the little resources that you have.
All right, Victor.
So definitely we have challenges of access in remote areas.
All right.
That's the reality.
Let's speak with Victor. He's calling up from Ikeja. Steve, please hold on, please. Let's quickly speak with Victor. Victor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, please.
Good morning to Mr. Rotimi and the guests and the presenters.
Welcome.
Okay. All right. Now, I want the doctor to please. You know, when you say body fluid, there are a whole lot of body fluid. So I want you to specify the body fluid so that people. I work in the health. I work in the health system also. So I want you to just show more light to that so that people will know what when you say. And then secondly, sorry, hold on. Then secondly, when someone asked a question about deep kiss, that you can't get HIV from kiss. What about if the person has a cut in the mouth and you also have?
Well, if it was a shallow kiss too, you would have gotten it.
Don't bite.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Victor.
Let's clarify.
Yeah. All right. Victor. Thank you, Victor. Let's speak with Moses. Let's take the questions together. All right. Moses.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to all in the studio.
Welcome.
One thing I want to say is this: is sometimes you say when you say these girls are being forced into. The truth is that, yes, some are being forced into, but majority does it on their own will. Children these days, they are not children anymore. Even the little kids, you see them trying what they are not supposed to even do. Through movie, through internet, it's not about being forced into.
So what do you suggest? Now that we know that they're experimenting, how do you suggest that this group of young people can be protected?
Most times, you see, check these rich man children, you'll be surprised, you'll be amazed at what you will see. Them watching what they are practicalizing.
So you think we should reduce the kind of things they watch? Check what they watch?
Exposure.
Guys, we actually...
Let him finish up on this.
Where you will bring your children up matters. People don't bring children up the right way anymore.
Okay. So you're saying that the family unit has a lot to do on this one. Right. Doctor, quickly, because we're running out of time.
Victor Moses.
Okay, so the first question is the body fluid. Now, the body fluid includes blood and its products, semen, breast milk, vaginal secretions. These are body fluids through which an individual could get the infection.
Is saliva part of it?
Then saliva. Now, he said deep kiss. Please, let's note that there is what we call oral sex. There are some individuals too who could get this infection via oral sex.
Right.
For deep kiss, there are factors you have to weigh. Like he mentioned, if you have a cut in the mouth, please, why should you be kissing someone? It means you intend to transmit this.
Right. Either HIV or something else.
Yes, so you should know what to do and what not to do. Yeah, indeed. I think this makes it clear.
Please, it's important to respond to that gentleman. Violence against women and girls is a big factor. So when somebody says that a lot of these girls are doing it voluntarily, look, rape is a big issue.
Right.
We talked about house girls, for instance. We talked about forced child marriage. We've talked about a lot of scenarios
what are you saying
in which girls are forced.
There are girls who are forced. Yes,
there
and
are young, inexperienced primary, secondary school students.
Yes, but one of the reasons why young girls and women have a higher prevalence is violation of rights, including sexual violence.
Okay, now
it's not because girls and women are promiscuous.
Well, we really now need to go, and this conversation is not exhaustive in 1 hour.
Not because they are more promiscuous.
Yeah, there is a lot to say here. A final comment from Twitter. Joy Forever says HIV awareness is not loud now as it was in the early 2000s. You think so? It also says immorality is so prevalent now than before. You think so? Says stigmatization, especially homosexuality, will make eradication near impossible. I agree with the last sentence, which says education is still key and important. We thank you all for joining the show today. We really must go, but we'll keep talking about this on Nigeria Info, everything that has to do with awareness. Mr. Steve Aborishade, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. And quickly, let me just say that we forgot to say something. Children, pediatric HIV is a big issue. We're having young kids born to HIV. We didn't talk about that.
Like we said, it's not exhaustive. We just decided to pick on some aspects, but we're really out of time now. Dr. Frederick,
thank you for having
I did
me.
the result twice during the break, but no, I'll leave Sheriff. Call the surname.
Only Buhai.
Oh, you're so wrong. Rotimi Sankore, thank you. Yeah. Nigeria, we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Have a fabulous day. Stay safe. Learn more about HIV and don't pass it on. You can be treated and it's not a death sentence. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.